I'd like to talk today about mystery. We'll start off with talking about mystery. There's a couple of other things I want to talk about, but do you feel? I know that you feel very solid in your understanding of what you now would call the religion that you made up. In other words, and if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I certainly think that we should all make up our own religions, and we shouldn't be following anybody else, right? And you know, your religion is similar to mine, right? May be different in some ways, but your religion is the religion with just one commandment: thou shalt not breed. Yeah, and the rest is obvious, kind of, once you start with that. But within religion and spirituality, and in general human, I suppose, human discourse, there's a concept of mystery. Yeah, and I'd like you to relate to that. In particular, you can relate to it in any way you like, but in particular, I'd like to just throw in the concept of reincarnation, the concept, because we've kind of, we're both, if I'm not mistaken, certainly myself, are very skeptical about religious ideas, any particular religion. I'm personally very skeptical of New Age, or as some people call it, New Cage philosophy. And yet, there are lots of things that I don't really understand. Where are you with the concept of mystery?
Yeah, I prefer potential. Unrealized potential is kind of mystery. When your potential is fulfilled, you understand the thing. You can understand it fully, so there's no mystery. So there's only a mystery when you don't understand something, and it's your potential. That's all. That's the mystery until it's fulfilled. So it ties into the previous podcast where we were talking about a self that's waiting for you. The religion, what does it mean? Relinking. To relink. To relink to what? To truth. To relink to truth. So it's to me, the whole of life is just a quest for truth. Trying to live truly, trying to eat truly. You know, as I said before, designers, engineers are seeking the truth. They would like their bridge to stand up. Then the mathematics has to be true. It has to work out on paper and then be manifest in physical form. And if they've done their calculations truly, very well and accurately, another word for true, accurate, then it will stand. The mission will be accomplished. So to me, it's truth. We're trying to reveal truth. That's what we're doing. We're seeking. We're experimenting, feedback loops. We're getting information back from the moves we make on the chessboard, so to speak, of life. And that informs us as to whether we're going the right direction or not. So mystery, I'm not sure. Yeah, mystery, unknown, the unknown, until you know. When you know, there's no mystery. So we're continuously uncovering things all the time. I think there was a time when they believed the sun revolved round the earth, the sun revolved round the earth instead of the earth revolving around the sun. So it was all a mystery back then. You see, now they know there's more in place now. The jigsaw, I see it as a jigsaw rather than a mystery. There's a jigsaw, and all the time we're living, we're putting in pieces of the jigsaw, and then we're seeing more of the jigsaw, until eventually you see the whole jigsaw, and then everything's been revealed and the game's over. But the ultimate solution of the jigsaw is to not even start in the first place. So back to our core principle, thou shalt not breed. Then there's nothing to work out. There's no mystery. It's zero. You've zeroed out all problems and all mysteries and all problems to be solved. It's been solved in the zeroing out of life. Once you zero it out, everything's lovely. It's done. There's no problems to be solved.
That actually brings me to another thing that we've talked about in the past, and it kind of, the fact that we met is so bizarre, and it kind of relates to previous podcast about synchronicities, because we met, I don't know if we've said this in the past, but we met, I'm from a middle class Jewish family from Golders Green, and you're from a I don't know how to describe it, from a lower working class from Brixton. You know, your life, you lived in abject poverty in one of the most awful areas, difficult, terrible on some housing estate where there was tension and violence, and I mean you can maybe fill in the dots in a moment, but you know, and normally we would never ever meet. It's just, yeah, we would just never meet, right? And how we met was, you know, a friend of yours pointed out my videos with Charlie Veach that I made, Love Police, and you quite liked them. And then the next day, there I just suddenly, out of the blue, turn up in Kingston, which is like, I never go to Kingston. I have no idea why I was there even. And I just got out my megaphone, and I had a sign as well. I started talking, and that was it, you know. And then we just gelled together immediately. And then like a couple of years ago, I remember, you know, then we became very friendly and very close, and I used to come to your house and hang around, and we used to go to town and mess about, and you've had had a huge influence on me. You've been, I mean, before we do this podcast, you didn't even like the sound of your own voice, and you didn't want to get involved in any public situation at all, but you were there in the background, kind of introducing me to lots of different ideas, and in particular, and including the ethics of reproduction, or the lack of ethics of reproduction. And I remember a couple of years ago you were saying something like you were kind of entertaining the idea, even though you're not religious, and neither am I at all, right? But you were entertaining the idea that somehow you think that we got bored, whatever that means, and that we somehow agreed, in inverted commas, whatever that means, to come back here for a mission of and I'm going to talk to the mission in a minute, but a mission of saving. I would describe it a mission of being of saviors, if you like, right? Here to save people, and I will talk about that maybe in a minute. But you kind of brought up the idea that maybe that we, whatever this means, and it's difficult to talk like this because what does it mean we chose to come here? It's a very strange concept, because once we leave the body, like, who is there to choose? And there's not even anyone to choose when we're in the body. So, but you were playing with this idea, and I just wanted to know, a bit more about what you meant and whether you still think that, and yeah.
So what I'd say is imagine the cosmos as like a massive algorithm that's trying to solve itself. It's just, that's what it is. All of these particles and everything are just trying to solve themselves. They're trying to cancel out. Let's put it that way, like a sum. It's trying to cancel out. Huh?
Resolve.
Yeah, resolve itself. Resolve itself. So there are particles all floating around. That is the cosmos, and they're working towards complete resolution. That complete resolution would be zero. So there would be nothingness. That would be the end of the sum. It's then concluded. Everything has balanced itself out. Everything has neutralized itself. So that would be the end, zero. Now, the reason I said it might be possible that we've kind of chosen, in speech marks, to be here, is that I believe unresolved problems manifest again, in energetic terms. That which is not resolved fully still lives. So it's unresolved energy that manifests again. That could be the explanation of reincarnation. If you have a desire, say, and it's cut short, premature, so or rather, if you have an urge or a desire and it's not fulfilled completely, and then your life is cut short, it might still be running energetically It may not. You need to bring it to conclusion and be completely satisfied, and then there's no charge in that energy at all. It's been dissipated, the urge, completely fulfilled. So it's zeroed out. So then that thing cannot come again because it's been completely resolved. But if there's something unresolved, like, oh, you find this, you ask people at the end of the, people that have been asked questions at the very end of their life before they die, they say regret comes up. Regret. Things are unfinished business. And I think that's so powerful, that energetic kind of frustration to complete something incomplete. Oh, I wish I could have seen my grandchildren grow up, or I wish I could have, learned 10 languages or something. Maybe then that kind of energetic, unresolved energetic energy comes back again. It might manifest again. That's the only way I can kind of think of reincarnation or explain it. It must be that. Must be that there's unresolved things at the end of your life. That's why I'm saying get on with it quickly as well. It's another reason why. Try to solve everything that is now problematic for you, see, or let it go, or transcend it. See that you don't need to solve it sometimes. You just need to let it go. The thing is not even worth engaging in, maybe sometimes. See, the project is not worth pursuing, and then that's a resolution of it. Rather than actually fighting and trying to resolve something, is it necessary for you to do? Take some time to think about things as well. Is it really a problem? Do you need to be involved with it at all? Say, the thing that you're feeling that you need to solve or whatever. Does the problem even need to be engaged with? Say, that would neutralize it and bring it to zero. Then it dissipates all the energy, see, and then you find your mind is not engaged with it anymore. And if your mind is not engaged with something, then there's no way it's going to manifest again as a problem.
I was thinking, I was just, as you said that, a thought came to mind that you can either solve it or dissolve it. Dissolve it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Dissolve it.
Yeah.
See?
And I'd also.
So you can either engage with it, or you can just completely. Yeah, you can either wrestle with it and try to solve it, or you can dissolve it by just realizing the thing is not even necessary. It's not even. It doesn't warrant my attention. That's the dissolving of it. That's the kind of Buddhist way. I would say one is a Western way of engaging and trying to overcome the problem. As a challenge, trying to fight and overcome it. Like an athlete does, it overcomes the obstacle by skillfully, jumping the hurdles. Then you overcome and you end up at the end with the satisfaction, the win, so to speak. The Buddhist way would be to dissolve it, as you rightly say, by just completely disengaging with the problem. It's not a problem for me to solve at all. It's beneath me, in fact.
It's interesting because I'd like to come back to, let's just imagine and play with the idea that we decided somehow that in our past life we had some unresolved business, right?
Yeah, business.
And and maybe it was like
we were on this path before.
That we're on this path before, and we understood that that reproduction is the ultimate mistake. Let's call it a mistake, right? And that we said, we've got to come back and do something about it.
Continue the great work. Yeah. The great work.
Now,
bring it to conclusion. Try to bring the whole mission to conclusion. Maybe we were cut off short. We were both killed. And we weren't able to complete, and it was a premature kind of cut-off, and we were left with all this. We were nearly there. We had more time, and you die in that moment. Of course, the charge is still there. The electric charge is there, enormous charge.
It's funny because we've been for years racking our brains about what's next. I've been doing this megaphony for years, and then I kind of felt, especially in the last couple of years, I kind of felt, come on, this can't just keep on doing this forever. I've done so much of it. It's time. It's got to be surely time to do something else or not do anything or whatever, right? And we've been like battling for years and trying to figure out and couldn't get anywhere. And then I had this diagnosis, and then I came out here. And I kind of, and a lot of the ideas for projects, as we call them, have sort of dissipated, right? And and we're still here, and we're still like, both of us are still like passionate,
And also,
absolutely passionate. One second, we're absolutely passionate about abolitionism, let's call it, or as I call it, preventionism, about doing whatever we can is in our power to spread the idea that prevention is better than a cure, and that to spread the ideas that stop, why breed when you've got an inner child to feed, and to spread the idea that if you really feel like you have to if you really that deluded to think you're going to be a good parent, well then adopt, take or foster, or get together with someone who's lost their husband or wife or whatever, right? And so we're very, very passionate about that idea, and perhaps if we're just going to play this game of conjecture, perhaps in the past, we were cut short, and we've come back here, but there's still like, even now there's still like these two possibilities in a way, which is the possibility of what we're doing now with this podcast is to spread the word, even if it's only, the thing is, this is a very unpopular idea. It's counterintuitive, it's counterintelligence, as you call it, counterintuitive. It's exposing life, so to speak. It's putting DNA in the spotlight, so to speak, and saying this is abominable. It's very, very unpopular. So this podcast on YouTube has only got a few hundred regular listeners, which is absolutely fine for me, right? Because it's just being put out there, and then one day maybe or maybe not, it'll be listened to by more people, right? But in this what we're doing right now is in a way trying to solve the problem, so to speak, although we're not really trying to solve the problem, because of course the problem is so incredibly huge that we're just doing a tiny little chipping. It's an offering, like you say, we're just chipping, tiny little chipping away, right? And we're offering this, right? And at the same time, right, I'd like you to, because you often speak about this, I'd like you to just share a little bit about the dissolving of all this, right? So that we don't have to come back again, because I've had enough, right? I don't want to come back, right? And the truth of the matter is that although we're doing what we can right now, which is not very much, right, and making these podcasts, I think it's important also to share within this podcast that in the end, right, Entropy is going to take care of it all anyway.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Once, I think, this is very difficult to because it completely, you've got an ego. Even if you're a savior or a messiah, you've still got an ego. The ego is to want to save the world. That's the ego. It's going to run. Even if it's the highest ego, it's still an ego, because the ultimate position is to see that it will be solved. Entropy is in place, and nothing can defeat entropy. It eats everything. Entropy eats everything. It eats everything. Anything that comes into existence will be dissolved by entropy. So that's the realization. Once you get that, it takes the tension out of your solving. So you can solve, but in a playful way. It's lighter. There's no emphasis on we must solve. We must. That is the energy that brings you back, I believe. This you must. This desperation to solve. We are the ones that must solve. And we can. We're doing great work. I disagree. What we're doing, even with the podcast, I believe it's the greatest podcast on earth, because it's addressing the source problem. We're not wavering from the source. Everyone else is addressing the downstream problems. Who is actually addressing with vigor the source?
What's the Diary of a CEO?
Which one? Oh, Diary of a CEO. Yeah. Is any of his podcasts, any one of them addressing the source problem? Have a look. Sadhguru, is any one of his talks?
Yeah,
he's mentioned it as a side topic. Yeah. But is any one of his podcasts or his talks specifically aimed at the source problem? You'll find no. What about Osho? See? What about Jim Jones? What about David Koresh? What about anyone? Think of any guru that's ever lived. Any guru that's ever lived. Has it been their main thrust to expose and solve the source problem? No,
Even Jesus.
zero. Even Jesus.
Even Buddha.
Although it's implied in Jesus' work.
implied,
It's not stated clearly with passion. Moses, he came up with 10 solutions for life. The commandments. But where's the one that's the most important? Thou shalt not breed. Left out, not there. Downstream problems, all the rest. All downstream problems. Thou shalt not covet your neighbour's wife. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not, etc., etc. But if thou shalt not breed was put into place, all the rest of the 10 would be solved. Immediately, that's the source problem. The rest are downstream problems. See, so I say no, counter to what Danny said. He's just being modest. Our work is the most important work. This little podcast, I believe, in time, will be viewed and listened to by billions of people. I can already see that in my mind. Because why? Because it is powerful. It is the source problem. We've offered the solution to the source problem of life. The source problem. We've countered life. We've seen through life. As Jesus said, we've overcome the world. We've seen through it. We've rustled DNA and we've told you what to do with it. Absolutely disrespect it by not bringing people into this prison, which DNA is the governor of. There it is, done. You can't do any higher work. It is the great work. It's the greatest work.
Yeah, and I have to say that I feel incredibly uncomfortable when you say things like that. And in a way, that is also from ego. I do think it's from ego. I don't know why. Yeah, it's kind of negative ego, right? But it is, I know. I'm just saying this because it's just coming out of my mouth. But I know that that's ego, right? Because it's like, because in reality, I know on a deeper level that it's not even me speaking, because it's not, there is no me to speak. There isn't, that's just a, Danny Shine is just a name for something that doesn't even exist, personality, right? And that doesn't really exist. That's just a concept, right?
Construct.
Construct. So in other words, it doesn't really matter who delivers it.
Yes.
It's just us two fleshy poo, poo machines. Today I've done several poos and they stank.
It's coming through us.
Right. It's just coming through us, right? It's just ideas that are coming through us for some reason, right? But while I'm here, people speak about Jesus being a savior, but you can't save anybody once they're born, right? You can't save them. There's no saving someone once they're born. Save them from what? All these Christians or so-called Christians that speak about, oh, I've been saved, right? No, you haven't been saved. You haven't been saved. The only saving is to save people from coming into existence. That's the only way you can save somebody. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do here.
And that's why I push back on, again, your negative ego, which is modest, where you say it's just like poo coming through. No,
I'm not saying
I
it's
see.
poo. No.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No, I'm not saying that it's poo coming through at all. I'm just saying that I, as a vessel, as a being, my poo stinks, right? I'm not special. Right. I'm not. I'm just a human, and I'm just a human that takes beautiful food and turns it into poo, right? Yes, I have humanity in the terms of my thinking, and
makes you special.
Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe it does, but I'm still a human being, flesh and blood human being, and that's a problem. It's a problem that I'm a human being. Being human is a problem.
And I think that is the specialness. The miracle is that we can even have these ideas flowing through us. This idea that is flowing through us is the solution to life. It is the source solution. So it's a miracle that it can come through a body that also produces poo.
Right.
You see, this is what I'm saying. Most people are just producing poo without this idea. That's the generic body, that's the generic vessel that doesn't need to be looked at or valued. We are special beings because of this idea. This very idea is flowing through us. And for the reason that you said earlier, we've both been born in the mud, so to speak. We haven't had any privileged upbringing, neither of us. You've been in a cult and you've managed to work your way out of that cult, which is terribly difficult. Me, I've been born in the mud of Brixton. in 1960s in a lower working class family. There was rape, there was all kinds of things going on. My peer group were rapists. The guys that I grew up with were rapists. They were serial rapists. They were completely psychotic. And I've had to extricate myself from that energy field and then refocus myself, educate myself, and then find this idea. And then see that it's the right idea as well. That's another thing. It's a needle in a haystack, this idea.
And having had kids ourselves.
And having made the mistake ourselves when we were immature. So this is the specialness, particularly of us two, of the two of us. It's miraculous that we're now delivering this idea. See? So of course we weren't special, but now we are by virtue of this idea that we're promoting, which is the source solution to the problem of life. It's a miracle. See, Jesus also was not special, I don't believe. He just done special work on himself. He done special work on himself and then he attained. Going back to the analogy of the athletics, see, and the caterpillar and the butterfly, it's tremendous work you have to do on yourself to change yourself into a vessel fit to hold this idea, to receive it first and then hold it and then transmit it. As Danny rightly said, I'd had a terrible problem with public speaking. It's not my medium, it's not my power, it's not my superpower. Danny is far better at it and I am smoother. You see, my medium is writing. I love to write because then I can manipulate the words nicely. I can take my time. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. I can work it all out perfectly on paper, then release it. So I'm more comfortable with writing than speaking. But I've had to do this now. And what has led to this? There's another point that came to mind. Danny said we had a lot of projects in mind. We did. But because I'm a perfectionist, I would never release them. They would never have been released. We would never have done any of the projects. I can see that now without Danny's diagnosis. Danny's diagnosis, what did it do, Danny's diagnosis? It gave us no time. See? The people said that he would be dead in a few years. So now it's urgent.
Yes.
See, a few months, a few weeks. Anaplastic cancer usually ravages you. You have no chance against it. And you die within a few weeks. So we have to get our act together. So we quickly cobbled this all together. And this is not perfect. You see, this is not a perfect production, but we're getting the ideas out. That's the main thing. The idea now lives through the podcast. See, it's a little sapling. It's not perfect, but the idea is perfect. The idea is absolutely perfect. And I think we've transmitted that clearly to everyone, even with the mistakes and the and the stutters and I'm sure the idea has been transmitted clearly. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear everything. We've covered every problem in life.
We're continuing to.
And we're continuing to, if there's any other things that come. But I think the main problems, we've covered them all. And the main problems, we've solved them all with the strategies that we've offered. The main one being abolitionism. It completely abolishes all the problems on earth. Completely abolishes life itself if it's put into practice en masse. You'll have no human problems, that's for sure. The insects, poor sods, will still be here because they haven't got the higher faculties to work it out. See, they're stuck in the mud, literally. The animals are stuck in the mud, literally, because they haven't got frontal cortex development. And that's what is required in order to have meta thinking and be able to look at the situation from above, so to speak. We have got that and we've used it very well for the one job that it should be used for, and that's to down DNA.
Yeah, and I'm just going to finish off this particular podcast by saying that I'm just going to keep bringing people back, the listener back here, because although you're right, absolutely, on point, and it's so obvious to me, it's so blindingly obvious, and sometimes I feel so frustrated that people can't get it because it's just so blindingly obvious, right? But I also want to bring people back because it's also very tempting when somebody speaks about the solution to all of this, right? It's very tempting then to sort of go off onto a philosophical quagmire and, have a whole discussion about, yeah, but what about the animals? What will happen if all the humans go, and what about the animals? And, maybe we should, like DNW did on his podcast that he did with his interview he did with us a couple of days ago, maybe we should all stay here so that we can sort out the whole world and etc. and go off on all those philosophical tangents. I just want to bring all the listeners back to this, which is the most important thing, is that anyone listening to this applies it to themselves, right? Don't concern yourself with with the whole universe. You haven't got neither one of us or any of you, right, or all of us together haven't even got the power to deal with the massive amount of suffering that there is in the world. None of us have, right? But you do have a power to prevent the suffering of your future progeny, and then all their future progeny. And that's a huge amount of suffering that you can prevent. Yeah. So don't get bogged down with all that idea, even though it is the solution, right? It is absolutely the solution, and it's very simple, right? But please keep it to yourself. Keep it on yourself. Keep it in when you're listening to this and listening to this whole podcast. Yeah. Keep on reminding yourself of your circle of influence, right? Which is surprisingly small, and it really probably only includes yourself. Really, that's the person that you have most influence on, and then question, then question yourself, because you've been brainwashed like we all have. And DNA's done its thing on you. So question yourself and yes, you'll have the circle of influence of the people around you, but the first thing to do is to question yourself and ask yourself, what am I doing? Why would I bring someone here when I have an inner child to feed? Why would I bring someone here when there's millions of orphans and people who need adopting? Why would I bring someone new here when there are millions of single mothers and single fathers in the world? Why would I bring someone here when just to have my DNA, when my DNA is your DNA's got some fault in it and may have awful faults in it, when I could be a teacher, or whatever it is, and on and on and on it goes. So I just encourage everyone listening to, and I'm speaking to myself as well, to go inside and ask yourself, and don't get bogged down with the whole solution to the whole picture.
And also what I'd say, and this it goes out directly to DNW, right? Don't get frustrated if you don't see the fruits of your labor, right? Don't get frustrated. That's what I think's happened to DNW. He's frustrated because he's not seeing the views increasing. He's putting all of his effort into it. The videos are beautiful, by the way. They should be watched by everyone as well. But he himself has not got faith in the work he's doing. So he's lost sight of the thing. Now he's tried to change and cut a different suit for himself to wear. And in so doing, he's cutting off his nose to spite his face. It's just frustration. Of course, it's difficult. It's a very difficult job. It is the great work. It's massive. And it seems like a mission impossible, but it's not. It doesn't matter. The first wave of abolitionism, almost everybody in the world would subscribe to slavery. But the little tiny group that sprouted up that said, no, this is heinous, is inhuman, now look where we are. It's not completely solved, the problem, but for sure it's massively reduced slavery. And that was because of the efforts of that tiny group. They kept going.
It's not just massively reduced, it's very, very, it's seen as an abomination by many, many people.
Yes, the idea took hold eventually because they're making heaps of money out of slavery. So they're not going to down very easily. So it took an enormous amount of counterintelligence and counter pressure to get. Now we're in a state where it's seen as abominable. It's seen globally as abominable, even though it's still practiced under the table, of course, because capitalism's still in place. So it's going to be. But it's now seen as abominable. In the same way, it will be the same with reproduction. You have faith in that. It will be the same. As people evolve, they will see, no, this is no good. We can't bring people into slavery, which is encapsulation in flesh. Incarceration is incarnation. Incarnation is incarceration. It's the same thing. It's tantamount. It's exactly the same. No different. In my mind, it is exactly the same. Incarceration is encapsulation in flesh. That's it. So, and also the second thing to keep in mind, just in case you get overwhelmed with it all, is entropy eats everything. There's no thing that can persist forever. So it's already been defeated, life. Life to me is like a hubristic child. It's a hubristic child that's trying to assert itself, and it's got no chance of persisting forever. It can only have its little time in the sun, so to speak, and then it fades out. And that is it. That's the fact of life. There's an inbuilt defeat to it, a defeat mechanism. It's inbuilt. Soon as something comes into existence, it's already decaying. It's only a matter of time. Nothing can last forever. So that should be okay. That dissipates my ego. If I think I'm a messiah and I'm going to be changing the world, and it's going to be because I'm putting all my effort in that the world's going to change. If I don't, it's going to all... No, it's already there. The Godfather is entropy. Nothing can defeat the Godfather, which is entropy. It eats everything. So life is already defeated. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and kind of in relation to that, this podcast, I've got 60,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is, some you could say, oh wow, 60,000, but it's tiny compared to the really slick, Dyer of a CEO or whoever it is. These people got millions and millions of subscribers, and they put in huge amounts of effort and money to get those subscribers, right? And I got 60,000 subscribers, yeah, and and some of my films have got. I've got even one or two films I've got like over 1 million people watching, but they're all the ones that are like with the police and giving the police a hard time, which is so banal and so I look back on it and I think, oh my God, so embarrassing. At one stage I wanted to take them all down, but I left them up, right? People like them, and there was there was something in them, right, of challenging authority, but compared to what this is doing, compared to what we're speaking about now, this is just nonsense. All the stuff that attracts all the people, that gets the big numbers, is just rubbish like that, taking on the police. But this is this is very unpopular, obviously for understandable reasons. And all these podcasts that I put out, I do look at them. I like to look at the comments, and sometimes, and as I said, we are going to address the comments in future podcasts. But they've got like 200-300 views on YouTube. I don't know what they've been put up on. I've got someone helping me do this. They've been put up on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. I don't know how many people are following them, and I'm not interested. I'm not going to find out. But they've only had a few hundred views, and it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter it doesn't matter because Entropy does its thing anyway, and we put it out there, and maybe there will be billions one day, and maybe not. It really doesn't matter, because even if there were billions that are going to do it, so what?
Yeah, exactly. And that specifically, I'd say it specifically goes out to DNW. See, I love his work. His work is very high quality. He's a beautiful writer. His the pictures he generates with his prompts are excellent, top class. And I'm very critical of people's work, but it's excellent work. And he should not be discouraged. You see, it's beautiful work, it's vital work. It doesn't matter if it's one view on your video. Are you satisfied with it? That's the question I would put to DNW. Are you satisfied with your work? Or are you now doubting the quality of your work? Quality over quantity, always. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time for people to appreciate your work. There's been many artists that have put work out there, beautiful work, and they've died, and they've had no recognition, only posthumously. Yes, until they die, because the people are basically primitive. They could not understand and appreciate the work. It's too nuanced, maybe. You see, it's too beautiful for the masses. It takes evolution for them to be able to look at it again. And posthumously, they're hailed as a genius. You see, look at all the artists where that's been the case. Beautiful work they've been producing in the dark on their own. No one appreciating, musicians as well. No one appreciating. I think Richard Wagner, he was one. He nearly booked himself into an insane asylum because he started to doubt himself because nobody was appreciating his work. And artists apparently thrive on appreciation. They shouldn't do. They should just know that their work is, if they've done the best they can and the work is high quality, just put it out there knowing that eventually people will see it. That's it. That's a true artist. You shouldn't even be making work for other people. You should just be aligning yourself to truth. That should be the main purpose of an artist. Make sure that what you're putting out there is true. See? And there's no bias in there mixed into your work. So once you've done that thorough examination of your own work, just put it out there knowing that eventually people will see it. It's beautiful work. That's going out specifically to DNW.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me, I went through a period of monetizing my videos, and then what I noticed is a few years ago, I think I still got some of them monetized even today, but it's just I'm earning like pennies from it all, right? But a few years ago, I monetized it, and I was making, I don't know, a few $100s a month, but it totally corrupted my work, right? And it's just related to what you were saying before, just now. It corrupted my work because all the videos that got all the views were all the ones that with me winding the police up, or kind of exposing their authoritarianism. And so then I started doing all those videos, and I neglected what I wanted to do, which was, I can't remember at the time whether it was my anti-capitalism type of videos or I was already into anti-natalism videos, but whatever it was, I had to stop that. I had to put a stop to that, so that and that relates to what you were saying, which is that the main point is to put them out there, and it's not worry and be concerned about what other people think about them. If they are, these podcasts, we are committed to sharing ideas that are in line with truth as we see it, right?
Yeah, exactly. As I said, no true artist should be concerned about the audience at all. You should be more concerned about whether your work is true. That's all. Is it true? Is your ego creeping into your work? Which it will be doing if you're looking at views or looking for money. You see, this is how the system corrupts you. Artists as well. Desperate artists who feel they're desperate. No artist is ever desperate, really, but they feel they are.
Yeah, but I just want to put one caveat in, which I think you'll agree with, which is why we say about the comments. Yeah, we do want to hear from people. We want to hear your comments, because there might be things that we're missing. There might be mistakes we're making. There might be other ideas that we might want to cover, right? That we can incorporate. So we want to hear from you, and we will relate to the things that we choose to relate to. Not all of them, because there's always going to be trolls there. There's always going to be people that are trying to be clever. There's always going to be all sorts of things like that. So we're not going to relate to everyone, every comment, but we do want to have that, so it's not like we're not interested in the audience, but we're not trying to impress the audience. That's the thing.
Exactly, that's the point I was making. The work can't be driven by trying to impress the audience, you see, or convince the audience. We're just sending out the truth as we know it, that's it. And I believe it is the truth. You see, I go further, I believe it is the truth. I'd challenge anyone to counter that. It is the truth, the solution to the problem of life. I can't see how it cannot be. If you stop reproducing, then the problems all end. Finish. Thou shalt not breed should have been the first commandment if Moses was tuned to the truth. And the last. The rest are all downstream problems which we all get caught up in, and that comes back to what I said about the potential self. If you get caught up with these side issues, you will not attain. You will not attain any kind of self-development or achieve any kind of full maturity. It will cut your maturity short, because you'll be lost. You'll be lost in some side issue for 10 years. And this is the danger I believe DNW's in. He's gone completely into the cosmos now. What happens if we go and the animals are, what happens if we go and the hand, that's distraction. So you take his eye off the ball, and then he's lost 10 years, considering all this rubbish that he can't do anything about. We are not myopic, as he suggested. We are just limited. We are limited beings. If we had all power, we would press the button and eradicate the whole cosmos. Then it would be zeroed out in an instant. But we haven't got that power. Entropy has, though. Entropy's got that power, and it's working all the time to do that. It's zeroing out everything that comes into existence. Everything. It's just that we want it done very quickly. And you can't. You have to be patient. And no, not even patience. You just have to know that that's the case. It's eventually going to be zeroed out, because everything that comes into existence is zeroed out. No thing can last forever. It's impossible. It's built into the whole game. So the defeat mechanism is built in. Every life, every born object is dying as it comes in. As it comes in, it's decaying immediately. The sun also is subject to that. Looks like it will last forever. Absolutely not. It's got a finite lifespan. Everything. So have no fear. Entropy's at work. Entropy is God, if you like. It's the most compassionate force because it ends all suffering. There you go.
And on that note, if anybody's got any comments, I think that was one of the most radical podcasts we've done. If anybody's got any comments, criticisms, questions, please, and you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it rather on YouTube, please feel free to comment. And wishing you a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world.